Across history, from the Shaker communities of early America to the Japanese monks of Mount Koya, one truth has quietly endured. When a person strips away excess, they do not lose, they rise. Extreme minimalism is not about poverty nor deprivation. It is a declaration. Each item you choose to release is a line drawn in defense of your dignity. In a world that profits from your clutter, living with less is not just a lifestyle choice. It is self-respect made visible. In today's exploration, we continue our journey into the discipline of extreme minimalism, not as a trend, but as the highest form of honoring yourself. Together, we'll uncover why living with radical intention is a direct act of personal sovereignty, how simplicity restores your inner authority, how restraint rewires your relationship with time, and why the courage to live with less is, in truth, the most profound form of self-respect. Let's begin. There is a silent boundary that every human being must learn to defend if they are to live with respect for themselves. It is not written in laws, nor guarded by walls. It is drawn in the way we choose to live each day. Extreme minimalism sharpens this boundary, for it teaches us to say, enough. In a society that thrives on blurring our limits, where advertisements whisper that self-worth is found in accumulation, the act of living with less becomes an uncompromising declaration that dignity cannot be bought. When a person steps into extreme minimalism, they are not merely rearranging their shelves or discarding objects. They are reclaiming the authority to decide what enters their life and what does not. This authority is the foundation of self-respect. To own fewer things is to stop allowing the marketplace to trespass into the sacred space of your mind. Every discarded possession becomes evidence that your life is guided by choice rather than compulsion. History has shown us this principle in subtle ways. The early pioneers who crossed vast American plains carried only what was essential, and in their restraint lay their survival. Their wagons were not filled with comforts but with necessities, and in that discipline, they revealed a profound truth. Self-respect begins where dependence ends. Today, in a different age of abundance, the lesson endures. To surround oneself with less is to live in alignment with one's values, free from the hidden weight of excess that chips away at dignity. Extreme minimalism, then, is not an escape from the world but a boundary set against its noise. It is the quiet refusal to be measured by consumption, the calm insistence that a life pared down to essentials is a life that respects itself first. And in that boundary, invisible yet unshakable, lies the truest expression of self-respect. What we choose to keep is never neutral. Every object that surrounds us whispers something about how we see ourselves. A cluttered home, overflowing with forgotten purchases and half-used trinkets, often speaks not of abundance, but of neglect, a quiet disregard for one's own space, one's own worth. Extreme minimalism demands that we confront this mirror. It asks, do your possessions honor you, or do they diminish you? To live with less is to refuse the silent insult of excess. Each unnecessary object that lingers in a drawer or closet is not just wasted space. It is a symbol of compromise, a trace of moments where self-respect yielded to impulse, distraction, or external pressure. By removing these remnants, we are not discarding mere items. We are affirming that our environment will reflect dignity, clarity, and care. Consider the tea houses of Kyoto, where simplicity is not decoration but reverence. Every vessel, every tatami mat, has a purpose, and nothing exists without intention. This was not designed for aesthetics alone. It was built as a form of respect for the guest, for the ritual, and for the self. When we strip away excess in our own lives, we too are creating spaces that remind us, I am worth more than clutter. My surroundings will reflect my values, not my compromises. The marketplace may try to convince us that worth is measured in accumulation. Yet true worth is revealed when we can stand in a room with so little and feel no lack. Extreme minimalism transforms possessions from a noisy chorus into a single, clear note that honors who we are. To demand this clarity is to demand respect for oneself, not through acquisition, but through restraint. In the end, self-respect does not flourish in crowded corners or in piles of forgotten belongings. It breathes in the empty space, the carefully chosen item, the environment that reflects a life lived deliberately. Extreme minimalism is that mirror polished to its brightest clarity, showing us our own worth, undistorted by excess. There is a paradox hidden in modern life. The more we own, the less free we become. Every possession demands something of us: maintenance, attention, money, space, even fragments of thought. Over time, the objects we believed we controlled begin to control us. Extreme minimalism turns this dynamic on its head. It is a refusal to be owned by ownership itself, a conscious decision to step out of silent servitude and into sovereignty. To choose less is not to abandon ambition, but to strip ambition of its chains. A wardrobe reduced to essentials, a home without endless storage, a calendar unburdened by unnecessary distractions. These are not losses, but statements. They declare, I will not sacrifice my respect for myself by submitting to the weight of things that do not serve me. In this sense, extreme minimalism is not simply a matter of aesthetics, but of power. The ancients understood this long before modern consumerism was born. Roman philosophers warned against the gilded cages of wealth, where possessions multiplied faster than peace of mind. The Stoics taught that a man enslaved by luxury was no freer than a man bound by chains. Their lesson was not to despise possessions, but to master them, to live in such a way that nothing external could claim dominion over the soul. Extreme minimalism resurrects this wisdom in our age of abundance. It is not the rejection of comfort, but the refusal to bow to its excess. Every item released is a quiet act of rebellion, an affirmation that dignity is not found in endless ownership, but in freedom from it. In this light, self-respect becomes inseparable from restraint. To live minimally is to stand firm against the subtle tyranny of possessions, to assert that life is not defined by what we hold in our hands, but by the authority with which we choose to let go. And in letting go, we regain something possessions can never provide: our own unshakable self-respect. In the noise of modern life, it is astonishing how quickly the voice within us is drowned out. Advertisements, social pressures, and endless comparisons insist that we must have more, achieve more, show more. Slowly, without even noticing, our choices stop belonging to us. Extreme minimalism is the quiet art of reclaiming that voice, the discipline of clearing away what does not matter so that what does can be heard. To listen to yourself, without distortion, is perhaps the deepest form of self-respect. When you choose less, you are not only organizing a home, but restoring authority to your own judgment. You are saying, my values, not the world's demands, will shape my surroundings. This simple but radical act shifts the entire balance of power. Your life becomes guided not by the loud insistence of consumer culture, but by the calm clarity of your own intentions. Examples of this can be found across cultures. Indigenous traditions, long before the rise of industrial consumption, lived with profound restraint, not from poverty, but from reverence. Their choices were measured by harmony, with land, with community, with self. They understood that excess drowns wisdom, while simplicity sharpens it. Extreme minimalism revives this awareness for us today. To strip away excess is to respect the wisdom already living within, waiting to guide us. It is a striking truth. Every possession you choose not to keep is not only an act of decluttering. It is a moment of listening. It is you deciding to give weight to your own voice rather than the clamor outside. Over time, this creates a life not of reaction, but of deliberate creation. And in this deliberate life, self-respect becomes visible, not in what you own, but in the courage to hear yourself and to honor what you hear. There comes a moment, often unnoticed, when we realize how much of life has been performed for others. The clothes we wear, the homes we arrange, even the words we speak. all too often rehearsed with an invisible audience in mind. Yet, beneath this endless play lies a deeper yearning, the desire to live in such a way that our own approval is enough. Extreme minimalism offers this possibility, for it is not simply about the external removal of things, but the internal shedding of dependency on validation. To live as your own witness is to stand quietly within yourself and say, "I see me, and that is enough." It is the gentle courage of a person who no longer waits for applause before they act, who no longer shapes their life according to what will impress or reassure others. This is self-respect in its purest form, a respect that does not bend to external judgment because it has already been affirmed within. Extreme minimalism nurtures this stance by refusing the clutter of performance. When you let go of possessions chosen only for display, you let go of the need to be seen in a certain light. When you resist chasing trends, you resist the trap of measuring yourself against shifting standards. What remains is a life pared down to essentials, but more importantly, a self that no longer seeks constant confirmation of worth. History remembers figures who embodied this with striking clarity. Philosophers who lived in bare rooms, monks who withdrew into silence, thinkers who sought no audience yet left timeless words. They did not abandon the world, but chose instead to live for their own witness first. Their self-respect was not a reaction to others' gaze, but a foundation upon which their lives quietly rested. In this way, minimalism is not only about fewer possessions, but about a profound shift in where you place your gaze. No longer outward, to see if others approve, but inward, to meet yourself honestly, and to know, without doubt, that your own witness is enough. Self-respect, when woven through the fabric of extreme minimalism, is not a posture but a presence. It is felt in the courage to hold your ground, in the way you curate your inner sanctuaries, in the values you carry across generations, in the voice you choose to honor, and in the rare freedom of living as your own witness. Each of these is a strand, and together they form a tapestry of dignity, a life not swollen by excess, but deepened by restraint, intention, and quiet power. But this journey does not end here. If these ideas stirred something within you, there's more to explore. On this channel, you will find other reflections that expand the horizons of minimalism and wisdom, stories of microtopia, where simplicity is reimagined for the modern world, and the timeless lessons of elderly wisdom, where lived experience distills life's deepest truths. I invite you to stay, to wander through these other paths, and to let them enrich your own journey. Watch more, listen deeply, and perhaps you will discover not only how to live with less, but how to live with greater respect for the life that is already yours.